What is going on? My name is Mick, and I am posting my day trading journey on YouTube, and I'm doing it with complete transparency and honesty. And today I made $245 on two trades, and I wanted to go over those today. I felt pretty good about them, allowed me to finally feel like I made some progress. And like I said, they were two trades today. One was a short trade and one was a long trade. And I want to break those down. The first trade was about $87. This one was more of a scalp. And I entered around 10 o'clock. So I think probably the easiest way for me to... I want to start off by saying that I was playing two things today. My primary objective was to play the gap fill and the gap fill reversal. So if we were looking at our closing, we closed at 41.80 yesterday, and we gapped up to 41.98, and so that left this portion of a 20 almost 20 point gap to be played. So that was my original plan for the trading day, was to attempt to look for entry short for the gap fill and then a possible gap fill reversal out of it. So that was my original plan going into the day, and it was pretty simple, but that was really all I wanted to do. So I ended up getting short. We did have some initial sell-off here. I didn't get tricked by this. I know some people were probably also playing the gap fill, and they looked for this to try to get short. I was looking for some sort of pullback, and this one was perfect because we didn't really close above the entry point here. And so, when I saw this and we saw some selling pressure shortly afterwards, once we cleared this level here, I got in short on this candle. And I just took a quick scalp. I went 10 MES short, and, I got out real quick because I've been on a losing streak, and I just kind of wanted to scalp real quick and take my money. In hindsight, I definitely should have held to the high of day, at least to the high of day. That would have been probably the best trade because obviously that was my original plan, was to do the gap fill. So yes, probably should have stuck with the plan, but I got out with some money, made about $87. I didn't make another trade for a while because once we had hit this high of day, I considered the gap closed and filled, so I didn't bother doing anything of the sorts. We did have some serious selling pressure afterwards. Again, didn't do anything. I wanted to see how far we were going to drop. I wasn't sure if it was going to continue or it ended up... I still considered this. This was a pretty important level of resistance previously that I thought was going to turn into support, and it did off the initial bounce. But again, I just wasn't trying to short after I thought the gap had been filled. So, what I was looking for actually was the second part of my original pre-market plan, which was the gap fill reversal. So at this point down here, I was looking for long entries, and I didn't want to jump the gun because I was already green for the day, and I'm glad I didn't. I stayed pretty patient. I didn't feel like I needed to force anything. At the bottom here, we saw a bunch of these doji candles, and I don't think I've ever seen this many 5-minute doji candles ever in my entire life, back to back to back. It seemed like there was a lot of accumulation, a lot of consolidation here. I was anticipating some sort of move just because at this level we were trying to figure things out. And again, we didn't really drop lower than 41.66. Kind of had been some resistance, 41.66, 41.67. And then finally, what I was looking at was this right here, which I was kind of expecting something a little bit cleaner, like a double bottom to kind of get on a reversal, or a hammer candle, or an inverse head and shoulders, anything of the sorts to kind of show me a reversal. Didn't get that as clearly as I would liked, but what we did get was consolidation followed by a liquidity grab. And this is where I felt really comfortable because we did have some buying pressure here, and then a huge 5-minute candle to kind of stop out a lot of these longs, because I know there's probably stop losses for longs here, stop losses for longs here, and stop losses for longs here. So this liquidity grab showed me that I think we were going to start making some progress. And I waited to see some buying pressure, which this candle was great. This was great. And then on this pullback, I ended up getting long in this area here. and I set my stop loss. I believe I set my stop loss, yeah, right underneath this low, which is around 41.64. I probably did 41.64 even, and I set my stop loss and I held. I was in this trade for quite some time, and I think about an hour and a half. It was a pretty long trade, and unfortunately it was extremely low volume. So I basically entered here, and if you look at the volume for like the next hour and a half, like this is just such low volume, and didn't really make as much progress as I would have liked. Pretty quickly, and I want to go over to this real quick. So pretty quickly I found out we weren't really doing much, and my plan was to try to get in the green as quickly as possible. So I got long on this pullback here, set my stop loss at 41.64 down here, and I just held. After we had a break above here, I ended up taking 3 MES contracts off. I took a little bit of profit here, so I think I took like $60 or $70 worth of profit at this this pullback here. I just obviously didn't know what was happening. I didn't want to take the entire position off because I still felt pretty comfortable. And I believe at a certain, I want to say actually shortly after I took profits here, I actually moved my stop loss to break even. So, and I had entered at 41.70.50. Yeah, 41.70.50. So I had moved my stop loss from here. I moved it up to break even, and then I just let the trade go. And I was break even with 7 MES contracts long after a liquidity grab and after a gap fill. So a lot of those confluences I felt really strong about. I had 7 contracts left. I was at break even, so I took my hands off and I said, this is basically a completely risk-free trade. I felt really great about it, and I wanted to see how far it would run. I ended up actually going to the grocery store, and I ended up driving to Walmart. I had to get some stuff. I had to pick them up, some diapers for my daughter and everything. And I was in the parking lot, and I glanced at my trade, and I realized, I think at one point the trade was up like $250. And, you know, I was like, well, this is looking good. And then this large pullback happened here. This is what scared me. I looked at this pullback, and I was like, okay, that's probably pretty normal. I didn't see any swing lows that had been broken just yet. No concern for me here. And then when I saw this large selling pressure, I was thinking, okay, number one, super low volume at this time, so really not what you want to see. And then huge candles, huge 1-minute candles selling. And so I got out of the position probably, I don't know my exact on this candle here. I got out of my position here for a $100 profit. So I guess I took $60, and then I got out here for like a $90 or $100 profit as well. So I think that's fine considering what it did the rest of the day. Not as clean as you would have liked it. You know, if you're looking at this, just real up and down, real choppy. Volume doesn't seem to be making up its mind and just seems to be going sideways and not really picking a direction. So in hindsight, you know, a $245 day is a $245 green day. So I'm pretty happy with that. I stuck to my guns. I had my gap fill reversal, and the trades worked out. So I'm pretty happy with how everything turned out, and you know, I can't complain too much. So that's all I have. Peace.